Welcome back, everybody. It's Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. Born on this date in 1944, singer Betty Kelly of Atala. Motown fans will remember her in Martha and the Vandellas. I guess she was a Vandella. It's already been 5 years since Hurricane Sally made landfall near Gulf Shores. Lots of damage for a cat, too. Today is National Guacamole Day. Y'all know what to do. Today we have a whole lot of politics, like it or not. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. P.F. Chang's China Bistro in Birmingham agreed to pay $80,000 to a man who wasn't hired, apparently because he didn't want to work Sundays, reports AL.com's William Thornton. The man was applying for a job, asked for Sundays off as a religious accommodation, and was not hired. An investigation by the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission determined that he was not hired because of the request. Now, according to the settlement, P.F. Chang's will provide back pay, compensatory damages, and punitive damages. The restaurant will also tweak its policies regarding religious accommodations and train employees on equal employment opportunity rights and responsibilities. The Alabama poll released a survey on Monday that was based on answers from 600 likely voters in the 2026 Republican primary, reports AL.com's Mike Kaysen. The poll was conducted by phone and text messages October 24th through the 26th. The survey included the favorability rankings for a number of GOP politicians and candidates, and President Trump was at 88%. And 74% of the respondents approved of both Trump's policies and Trump personally. Among the major political figures inside the state, U.S. Senator Katie Britt was the most popular with a 76% favorability rating. She was viewed unfavorably by 15%, and 5% said they'd never heard of her. Now, let me repeat that for emphasis. According to the survey, 5% of likely GOP primary voters, when asked about one of their U.S. senators, answered, never heard of her. Alabama's other U.S. Senator, Tommy Tuberville, had a 74% favorability rating, but only 1% had never heard of him. I guess you could call that 4% difference the Auburn football factor. Here are a few others. Alabama Attorney General Steve Marshall, 47%. Congressman Barry Moore, 25%. Caroline Dobson, 15%. And State Auditor Andrew Sorrell, 12%. The survey also took a look at the big U.S. Senate race to fill the seat being left behind by Tuberville, who's going to run for governor. Now, it shows that Marshall is out to a strong lead, carrying 37% of respondents. Congressman Barry Moore is second, but way back at 16%. Now, the most positive thing Moore and others can take from the process is that a whopping 40% of those surveyed are still undecided. It's a long way to go. Also showing up on the survey was former Navy SEAL Jared Hudson at 7% and cattle farmer / businessman Rodney Walker at 1%. The Republican primary is May 19th. Tuberville has called for a University of Alabama assistant professor to be fired for calling conservative influencer Charlie Kirk's murder right-on-right violence, reports AL.com's Patrick Darrington. Now, in case you haven't approached a computer, TV, or radio lately, those on the political right and left have spent much of the past week claiming that the suspect in the shooting belongs to the other side of the aisle. Utah's Republican governor has said the suspect has a leftist ideology, although the motive hasn't been officially confirmed. And many on the right have made efforts to cancel those who've said ugly things about Kirk or celebrated his death. Now, in the situation Tuberville brought attention to, Alabama assistant professor in the Department of Journalism and Creative Media, A.J. Bauer, wrote on social media that, quote, this right-on-right violence is out of control. Now, Tuberville, who went on Newsmax Monday and said that Kirk's death was the fault of the left and that the shooter was a deranged leftist, said he wanted to see Bauer fired for trying to pin it on an alleged right-winger. All right, now that's a tiny part of all that's going on, and I'm not addressing that specifically, but if y'all will give me a little leverage for some observations, has anyone seen the better angels of our nature? Surely we left them around here somewhere. Actually, although we romanticize more genteel political times, when President Lincoln famously appealed to those better angels during his first inaugural address, we were mere weeks away from the Civil War. Now, that bit of sunshiny optimism aside, the national dialogue seems to have reached another low point since Kirk was murdered last week on a college campus in Utah. Not that genuine efforts at civility don't exist. There are those on the left who express sympathies without couching them in all the reasons they hated Kirk's existence, and there are those on the right who express sorrow without blaming the nearest Democrat for everything short of loading the rifle. But we just don't notice those sentiments from reasonable folks because they don't satisfy our need to immediately be really, really mad at someone other than a 22-year-old with a broken brain or a twisted soul. So the better angels sit quietly on display, but nobody's buying. They don't bring a polling bump, and they're no good for engagement. With that said, meanwhile, a pair of state legislators tried to spread a little civility yesterday, reports AL.com's Mike Kaysen. Huntsville Republican James Lomax and Opelika Democrat Jeremy Gray called on people to, quote, lower the temperature, reject petty tactics, and rediscover the power of respectful dialogue. Careful, guys. You can get primaried with that kind of anti-extremist rhetoric. Hey, if you got something to say, leave us your Alabama hot take voice message at 205-304-1814. We might get a chance to play it right here on a future report. Thanks for listening to us. We'll be back here again tomorrow. Until then, y'all come by and see us anytime you want to. We're on the World Wide Web at al.com.